Good morning, class 9th. I hope you all are done with the explanation and written part of chapter 1. If not, kindly complete your work. Today, we are going to start a new chapter of biology. But before that, what is the fundamental unit of life? Or in other words, what is building block of an organism's body? The cell. That's absolutely right. The cell make up bodies of all living organisms. Now, how many cells do you think an organism needs to live? One, two, hundred, thousands? But as we know, it depends on organism we are talking about. As we have studied about amoeba, which is an unicellular organism and is only made up of a single cell. This single cell carries out all the functions of this organism's body, be it respiration, digestion, locomotion, excretion. But what if we talk about a cat or a dog? Do they have a single cell? Of course, they don't. They have many cells which make up their entire body. Suppose there are groups of cells which carry out different functions. For example, type A cells will carry out the function of respiration and the cells of type B will carry the process of digestion. But what are these groups called? Do they have a specific name? Yes. Each cluster or group of cells is called a tissue. And each tissue carry out a specific function. Tissue is termed by Xavier Bichet and its study is called histology. Actually, in multicellular organisms, there are millions of cells. Most of these cells are specialized to carry out specific functions assigned to them. And each specialized function is given to a particular group of cells. Since these cells carry out only the specific function which is assigned to them, they do it very efficiently. Right? Let me repeat. Multicellular organisms have tissue, or you can say a group of cells in their body which are placed at different locations. You can see here, right? And these groups which are at various locations are carrying out a particular function which is assigned to them. This is called division of labor. Means in organism's body, the function, the labor is divided into various locations and parts, and each and every group of cell have their specific function to be performed for the organism's body, right? Now, can you give me some examples of tissues in human body? The muscles. Yes, the muscles are the tissue that help movement by contraction and relaxation. What about blood? Do you know that blood is a tissue? Yes, blood helps in transportation of nutrients, gases, waste materials, etc. And it is known as connective tissue of human body as it connects various parts of the body. Let us look at plants now. Yes. Do you think plants have tissues too? Are the tissues of the plants and animals similar? Do you think plants need same tissues as animals? Logically, they do not have same tissues as animals have, but they do have tissues in their body. So, a group of cells that work together to perform a function is called tissue, And see at the screen, just look here, group of cell is called tissue, and when many tissues work together they form an organ, and when two or more organs work systematically together in a coordinated way, they form organ system. We have two categories, one is plants, one is animals. As we know, plants are non-motile, they are you can say stationary, so they need support, they need mechanical support, and mechanical support is given by some of the dead tissues. Okay, plants need less maintenance as well. On the other hand, living your animals are living, and their each and every body part is living. So from your NCERT, there is one question: are plants and animals made of same type of tissues? We have taken some of the points on which we can discuss. Number one, plants are stationary or fixed. Plants are fixed, that's why they are not able to move. So as they need to stand upright, they have a large quantity of supportive tissue which will maintain its shape, right? The supportive tissue generally has dead cells. On the other hand, if we talk about animal, they are motile, they are movable, they can move in search of food, shelter, etc. So they consume more energy as compared to the plants because of the movement, right? So most of the tissues in the animal body are living. Yes. Now, another point of difference is your animals show different kind of growth as compared to the plant. In plant, there are several regions where you can see the growth. On the other hand, there are some regions where there is no growth. So plants have two kind of tissue. One is dividing tissue, one is non-dividing tissue. But if we talk about animals, throughout their body, these animals have dividing tissue. Some of the non-dividing cells are present, tissues are present. They are again a protective one. Yes, another point. The structural organization of organ system is more specialized in animals. It makes it complex as well. But in the case of plants, it is quite easy, or you can say simple, if we compare it with the animal. Plants are simple to study. They do not have organs and organ systems which make it complex. They are quite simple. They have two systems in their body. One is root system, another one is shoot system. Now, as you know, plants are adapted to different kind of sedentary existence. Sedentary means stationary existence, right? On the other hand, your animals are living in different systems while locomoting from one area to the another. So this is another point of difference on the basis of which we can say that plants and animals do have tissues, but they are quite different from each other. Some of them may be similar in one or two function, but most of the tissues are different, right? For example, if I'll say some of the points I have taken here, animals are motile, that is they are movable, they all have almost living tissues in their body, their growth is uniform, and most of the tissues are dividing tissues in the animal, which will help it in its growth, repair of the worn out cells and tissues, right? Yes, now let us go through the plant tissue. As we have discussed in above slides, your plant tissue are of two kind, means your plant have two different kind of tissues in its body at different locations. One is dividing tissue and another one is non-dividing tissues. Today in this lecture we will go through dividing tissues. Technically it is known as meristematic tissue. Where does the term meristematic come from? Actually, it is a Greek word meristos, which means divided. Well, the main function of this tissue is to divide and help the plant to grow. So, meristematic tissue are exactly present at those places in the plant body where the cell will divide and helps the growth of the plant, right? And as we have just studied, all the parts of the plant do not show growth. Growth is restricted to only certain parts of the plant. What's interesting in that is meristematic tissue is named differently based on parts where it is found. So here you can see we have meristematic tissue and they somewhat look like this in structure. The growth of the plant occurs only in certain specific regions. This is because of these dividing tissues called meristematic tissue, and they are present at three main locations. One is apex, that is the top, whether the top of the stem or of the root. So you can say there are meristematic tissue present at the apex called apical meristem, and it may be your root apical meristem or shoot apical meristem based on their location. Okay, now the second tissue is your lateral meristem and third one is intercalary meristem. Lateral means at the sides, right? So lateral meristem are those meristematic tissues which are present at the sides of the plant, like here they are present. Okay, they will help in growth of the plant in terms of girth, right? And if we talk about apical meristem, they will increase the height of the plant in terms of both root and shoot. On the other hand, your lateral meristem will help the growth of the side tissues, you can say lateral tissues. Yes. Now the third type of tissue is internode or intercalary tissue. This point from where new leaf or shoot will arise, a branch of shoot will arise, is called node, and the space between these two nodes is called internode. So the tissue or meristematic tissue I'm talking about, when it is present between these nodes or at the internodes, it will be called intercalary tissue. Okay, so first of all let us discuss about meristematic tissue again. New cells produced by meristematic tissue are initially like those of meristematic itself. It's the main point. Initially, when your meristematic tissue or new cells are formed, they are meristematic tissue only. But with time, as your plant grows and matures, the characteristics of those old meristematic tissue become different. The term is called differentiated, and they somewhat take or mask some different kind of tissue, which we will study in our next lecture. Okay, so here meristematic tissue are actively dividing, true. They are round, oval, polygonal or rectangular in shape. Depends on the location, the function they are supposed to perform at that location or area. Their shape may differ. They are closely packed. There is no intercellular spaces, as you can see here. There is no intercellular spaces. They are tightly packed, right? They have thin cellulose wall. Their cytoplasm is quite dense and they have a good prominent nuclei. Vacuoles are almost absent because they are completely filled with the cell sap, that is the you can say nutrient rich water. So they are completely rich with that. That is why there is no need of vacuole here. So vacuoles are almost absent in meristematic tissues. Once these meristematic tissue start growing into or change into the different type of tissues, that time vacuoles may come back. Okay, here you can see one microscopic picture of the meristematic tissue. They look like this, and you can see there is no intercellular spaces. No intercellular spaces can be observed here. देख लीजिए आप यहाँ पे, there is no intercellular spaces. Yes, there is points to be noted for the three different kind of apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Apical meristem is present at the growing tips of stems and roots. It increases the length of the stem and the root, as cell division in these tissue causes elongation, means increment in the length of stem and root. On the other hand, lateral meristem occurs along the sides of the central axis of the plant. It helps in increasing the girth of the stem or root, right? And due to this, the growth is secondary growth and it is called cambium. It also gives rise to vascular tissue. Vascular tissue we are going to study in our next lecture, that is phloem and xylem. They are called vascular tissue as they help in conduction of water and transportation of food. Yes, the next one is intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem occurs at the base of leaves or internodes. These cells grow fast and soon changes into permanent tissue. Intercalary meristem have one most important characteristic, you can say. They grow very fast, they divide, grow, and after some time they permanently become as it is, means they become permanent tissue. And this is what we are going to study in our next topic, in next lecture, that permanent tissues. Before that, let us go through the classification of plant tissues once. Here you can see, as told earlier, our plants have two kind of tissue. One is dividing tissues and another one is non-dividing tissues. Meristematic tissues are the dividing tissues, so they are the dividing one. Okay. On the other hand, they are the non-dividing one. That is why the name is permanent, means they will be as it is throughout their life now. So they are non-dividing tissue. Yes, meristematic tissue, as we have started, are on the basis of the location where these tissues or cells are present. They are called apical meristem, lateral meristem, and intercalary meristem. This is all done with the meristematic part. Now let us move to permanent tissue. Permanent tissue can be simple or complex. The simplicity is based on the types of cell involved in formation of that tissue, and that complexity is on the basis of the various kind of cells which are present to form that particular tissue. So here in simple we will study parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. It's E. Yes, parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma are simple permanent tissue. On the other hand, complex have two types. One is xylem and another one is phloem. Okay. Yes, one more point we will study here are protective tissue. Your protective tissues, as the name is suggesting its meaning, they will protect, and they are somewhat the modification of your meristematic tissues only. So that two parts, one is your protective tissue and another one is your permanent tissue, we will clear in next lecture. But before that, kindly go through the whole explanation, and still if there is any doubt, please feel free to ask and clear all the doubts, all the problems you have in this chapter and the earlier one, that is cell as well. Here you can compare the functions. Apical meristem located at root and shoot tips, they help in the increment of the length. Lateral meristem means side to side, they will increase the girth of the plant, and that growth is called cambium as told earlier. Intercalary meristem located at the base of leaves or the internodes, it helps in growth of twigs. Twigs means branches. Okay. Yes, here tissue cells filled with cytoplasm. Here the cells of tissues are filled with cytoplasm, but once they are permanently changed, or you can say once they are changed into permanent tissue, that structure, that filling of the cytoplasm, presence of the vacuole may differ. That's it for today. Thank you.